Video 4. Now we're going to multiply and divide complex numbers. Multiply dash divide complex numbers. This one won't be quite as simple as the last one, but it's still very basic. Let's just jump right in. Negative 6 minus 5i multiplied by 1 plus 3i. Now please notice how this is different than the last slide because there's no operation between the parentheses. Here it says we're going to take this and we're going to add it to this. Or we're going to take this and subtract this from it. Here, no operation in there. Just two parentheses next to each other. Remember, that means multiply. And when you multiply parentheses that have multiple terms, you have to, distribute. You know I do not like the term FOIL, but if that's how you were improperly taught, then you can go ahead and remember that as long as you're not contaminating the rest of my students with that FOIL nonsense. So let's check it out. Negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. Negative 5i times 1 is negative 5i. Negative 6 times 3i is negative 18i. And negative 5i times 3i is negative 15i squared. Again, this is one of those problems to where if you have a really hard time with this, you can change the i's to x's for now, distribute it out, and then anywhere there's an x, change it back to an I. So now we combine like terms. Negative 6 combines with nothing. Negative 5i and negative 18i, that becomes negative 23i. Now, if you remember from way back here, anytime you see I squared, substitute negative 1. So here's an I squared. Let's change that to rightfully so, negative 1. So let me get back in here. Negative 6 minus 23i minus 15 times negative 1. So we get negative 6 minus 23i plus 15, because negative 15 times negative 1 is plus 15. Now we can combine like terms one more time. 15 and negative 6 are like terms, and that equals positive 9. And so 9 minus 23i is the answer. Dang, that's cool. Let's put a purple box around that. Now let's move on to something called dividing complex numbers. Oh, this is where it gets really, really fun. So let's do, 4 divided by 2 minus 3i. And so you are going to take care of these exactly like you would take care of rationalizing a denominator. If you have an I down there, you would times it by I over I. If you have a complex number down here, you would times it by the opposite conjugate, the conjugate. So if I had 2 plus I would multiply it by 2 minus I over 2 minus I. Oh, so what do we got here? 2 minus 3i. We are going to multiply that by 2 plus 3i over 2 plus 3i. And so let's do this here. 4, we have to distribute, remember, because this is multiplication, so 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 times 3i is 12i. And then 2 times 2 is 4. Negative 3i times 2 is negative 6i. And 2 times 3i is plus 6i. And negative 3i times positive 3i is negative 9i squared. So these two are like terms, and negative 6 plus positive 6 cancels each other out. So that leaves me with 4 minus 9i squared. Well, we're not done because we don't want imaginary numbers in the bottom if we can help it, and we can always help it. Look at this. What do we do there? Oh, anywhere you see an I squared, you substitute in negative 1. So 8 plus 12i over 4. Negative 9 times negative 1 is positive 9. And so now that becomes 13. And that is our answer. Why is this our final answer? Well, because 8 over 13 doesn't simplify and 12 over 13 doesn't simplify. Again, you will probably see this as 8/13 plus 12i over 13. That's probably how you'll see that. Awesome. Let me give you an example of where it does simplify at the end, since we haven't seen that in this video or this video, and I've got a little bit of time. So let's scroll up here, and instead in purple, we are going to do 3 minus 2i over 5i. So to get rid of this, we are just simply going to multiply each side by the same conjugate here, but we have to make sure that we do the negative of it. So that's the key here. So we're going to multiply by negative 5i over negative 5i. And so when we do that, we're going to get 3 times negative 5i is negative 15i. And we're going to get negative 2i times negative 5i is positive 10i squared. And then all over 5i times negative 5i is negative 25i squared. And so now we have most recently learned that anywhere that you see an I squared, you multiply that by negative 1. You change that to negative 1. Let's do that here. So negative 15i plus 10 times negative 1 is negative 10 plus, negative 10 minus 15i. I kind of sort of skipped a step here, but positive 10 times negative 1 is negative 10. Remember, we want the numbers to go in front of the imaginary number. So we have negative 10 minus 15i. And then negative 25 times negative 1 is 25. And a lot of times we'd want to say, oh, we're done. But if you look, negative 10 over 25, that can be reduced to negative 2/5. And negative 15i over 25 can be reduced to negative 3i over 5. And that, my friends, is the finalist of final answers. Goodbye.